Hey, what is going on, people? It is your boy Persona of Game More Persona, host of Mind of a Gamer, host of When Persona Speaks, fellow TOA member, hashtag the council, hashtag Monk Boys. We here. Um, yeah, man. So it's another Thursday, and you guys already know Thursdays is When Persona Speak time. And it's been definitely been a really busy week for me. Um, I would say starting last week, the weekend, like in terms of like all the E3 conferences and getting the live reactions up and running and doing the after shows. I started all that on Saturday, and the Saturday night I hosted a tournament, grudge match tournament for TOA. It was Bari versus Upchuck, which was very good matches. By the way, that was really good. And then after that, I Sunday I did uh, Microsoft's conference and the after show, and then Monday I did Ubisoft Square, and and then you know keeping up with all that stuff and um you know retweeting stuff, reading different stuff, watching videos, trying to get as much information as possible. It was a lot. I didn't do then that night. We did live reactions for Sony on Bari's podcast on Bari's channel, which was also again really good, really entertaining, obviously. And we did the after show for that. So it really was like a lot that we were doing, and that we were, especially myself. I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot of that alone, and then like getting everybody together and whatnot, and it was a lot. So that Tuesday, yo, sick. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you coming through, man. So that Tuesday, I did watch Nintendo's conference, but I didn't do like a live reaction or nothing like that. 'Cause I was really tired. So like, I really like took a break, and then that Tuesday, I really didn't even play no games Tuesday. That evening or whatever, I kind of just was on chill mode or whatever. And then Wednesday, obviously, I played a couple games. I didn't stream anything or nothing, but I was really like, like I need some time. Even today, like going into like When Persona Speaks, I was like, I do want to talk. I do want to do When Persona Speaks today, just because there's a lot that I wanna lay out there, and a lot of things that I want to talk about and really convey to everybody. Just in terms of E3, because even though we did do the after shows and stuff like that, a lot of people's thoughts were all over the place. Some people's thoughts were, like everything doesn't really translate as well when there's a lot of us, because there was a lot of us during all of the shows, after shows. So, I couldn't really talk in detail like I wanted, just because, for time and making sure everybody else got their thoughts. So I said I would save my like in-depth thoughts for When Persona Speaks, and really like go into detail about a bunch of different things. And then this week there's been a lot of talk about different things, and a lot of things that really have brought a lot of attention. So I did say that I wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty of a couple of things. Again, yo, Sick, what's good? I see Sick is here, man. Really appreciate you. So yeah, let's kind of jump straight into it. So if you've been living under a rock, I mean, this week was E3. E3 2018 was definitely this week. Over the weekend was the conferences, of course. And what I'm gonna speak on today is pretty much Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, just because those are like the console makers. They're the ones that a lot of people really pay attention to in terms of press conferences. Uh, just to get it out the way, Square, Ubisoft, Bethesda, those conferences are more so just game. I mean, you're going to get games from those conferences, regardless if there's games that you like or don't like. That you will see some magnitude of games from those three. So I definitely was impressed with Squares, and Ubisoft was putting me to sleep, and Bethesda was putting me to sleep too a little bit, up until like the end when they started talking about like Fallout 76, and started talking about, well, Rage in the beginning of Bethesda uh really really had me. I was just like, oh damn, this is really dope. I'm really interested in picking that up. But after Rage, I kind of was like, falling asleep. I was kind of just like, yo, what is this, man? This is NyQuil right now. So I was kind of like, not really feeling this too much. And then in terms of towards the end for Bethesda, again, Fallout 76, that Starfield announcement, this the Elder Scrolls announcement. That's where I was kind of like paying attention, like, oh wow, this is dope, this is crazy. So that's really that. And then, like I said, with Square, Square has Kingdom Hearts, so I automatically was just like, Square is up there, in terms of like my happiness, my joy, in terms of watching this conference. So Square, Square definitely got like, and then they had a couple of new IPs, that Babylon game, and then the Quiet Man, I think it was. That, those two games definitely, caught my attention. I was really intrigued by them. I was hoping we seen a little bit more in terms of gameplay, but it was definitely good to see that they do have IPs in the works and whatnot. And obviously they showed a little bit of Tomb Raider and all those good things. So it was definitely good. It was definitely good to see that and really be a part of that. And again, Kingdom Hearts is 10 out of 10. That's my game right there, man. So I'm really, really excited for that. And in terms of Ubisoft was just kind of Ubisoft was dry to me. The Just Dance 2019 was I actually liked that performance. No bullshit. I really thought that performance was really cool, really dope. I was intrigued and really interested by it. I'm not picking the games up, obviously, but the performance, I actually liked it. Even like the the music they had and stuff like that. I was really feeling that. I really did feel that was pretty cool. Definitely something that I was feeling. And then in terms of what else did they show for Ubisoft? Assassin's Creed, I'm always going to be excited for, just because I've been playing Assassin's Creed since the beginning. And Assassin's Creed, this one, I love the atmosphere of it as Greece. So I really was intrigued with like the color palette. And now you could choose between a guy and a girl, which I thought was pretty cool. And again, it's Assassin's Creed, so you kind of know what you're getting with Assassin's Creed. But I did like how the world was looking. It looked very vibrant, very colorful. The colors definitely popped, which I definitely was on board for. So Assassin's Creed definitely had my attention. Yo, Fatal, what's good, man? And then Division, it does look like they did make some changes with Division. I was definitely feeling the Division 2. Only thing about Division is it's coming out at a bad time for me, man, because I'm looking at Anthem, I'm looking at Days Gone, and I'm kind of just like, these I think my time really is going to be spent, especially if Anthem is as big as we all hope that it is, especially with it coming from BioWare. And we know that BioWare, they're definitely not afraid of putting content into the game. They're definitely not afraid of that. So I definitely was excited for that. I was feeling that, but I don't know if I'm picking that up. But outside of that, Beyond Good and Evil 2 obviously was pretty good, and definitely had my attention, and definitely something that I'm really intrigued by. Only thing about Beyond Good and Evil 2 is I kind of wish they would have showed us some more gameplay of that, just because we really haven't seen anything. We've seen like these story trailers, well, not story trailers, but we've seen these cinematic trailers. We've seen little small snippets of gameplay, and I know that they're working on a game, and the game is definitely going to take some time to really come together full circle. But I feel like if you come into the Sony stage, I mean, if you come into the E3 stage, I would hope that there would be at least a little bit more gameplay than that. I was hoping, but we did get what we got. It does look like it's going to be a promising game. I'm just looking at it like, and I'm excited for this, but can you show me a little bit more, please? Even with the the interviews and stuff that happen normally after the conferences, they didn't really show us too much, which was a little bit disappointing, but it was still something that I felt was like, I kind of want to see a little bit more. Now, in terms of what else did they show? Was that not Starfield? They showed Starlink, I think it is, or something like that. That looked okay from Ubisoft, but I kind of just wasn't feeling it too much. And same thing with Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones looks like it'll be fun, but again, it's a lot of games coming out as is, so you kind of got to pick and choose in terms of like what you want to buy and what you really want to put time into. Skull and Bones doesn't look like that much of what I would. I mean, it looks good. I'm not saying it looks bad. Just when you look at that and then look at the plethora of other games that are coming out, I'm just like, I would rather play this than that at the moment. But to get into like the big three, uh and me and the council, we've had these discussions like time and time again after the conferences, and this is just after all the conferences, with the exception of Nintendo. But in terms of like Sony and Microsoft, I know I've seen a lot of people saying, Microsoft won, Sony won, blah blah blah. The back and forth, and then even us among the council, when we have our discussions and stuff like that, uh, you know, like for instance, like with Crunk, she couldn't decide who won. Just because if you're judging from pacing, things like that, it was definitely, a little weird for me. And I'm gonna try to come at this as objectively as possible, as critically as possible, as fair as possible, because when you when you make these decisions, oftentimes people like to, oh well, you saying this is better, you're a fanboy, this, da, all that stuff, whatever. But in terms of like Microsoft goes, I'll say this about Microsoft. Microsoft's conference definitely had the better pacing than Sony, and they definitely showed more games and games overall. I'm not saying exclusive games. They definitely did show more games on their stage. And I think their conference even ran longer. But I think with Microsoft's conference, for me, when you strip down the multiplats, it really just wasn't. It wasn't nothing that like had me going crazy. And what I mean by that is, we really didn't see too much of. We didn't see too much gameplay. One, two. We really did see like a lot of what they decided to spend time on and what they decided not to spend time on really did piss me off, because they showed after they started off the conference with Halo Infinite, but it was only like a quick trailer and they didn't like speak on nothing, like nothing on it at all. Then they showed DLC for Sea of Thieves, which I really don't have any. I really don't care about that too much. And then the DLC for Cuphead, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but that's, I look at that like those DLC announcements, and I look at those things as like stuff that could be like a blog post, or could be like a trailer or a tweet that you attach a video to and kind of just announce it like that. So I'm not really looking at those. And then it's like when you look at the other games that they could have spent time on, they spent time on, they spent like, I think maybe like 10 minutes on Forza, but they spent no time on Crackdown 3, and it's like Crackdown 3 has gone through such a long, like pretty much development hell, you feel me? And it got delayed like literally a couple of days before their E3. So, you would assume that, you would think that with all the development crises that they have experienced and the development hell and stuff like that, you would think that with Crackdown 3 they would spend more time on that, or you would think that they would dedicate at least 10 minutes to like show you some new gameplay and really talk about what's changed, what to expect, talk about the multiplayer aspect to some degree. They they didn't really do that on their main stage, which I kind of was like disappointed at, because I'm like, they didn't even give us like the date itself. The date got they told us the date in a tweet, like in the middle of the conference. And so I'm just like, that's something that you kind of gotta like broadcast that on the stage, like the actual date, when this is coming out, when this is coming. Uh and then that I was kind of disappointed at. And then it's like, when Forza came around again, they spent like 10 minutes on that. And I'm like, of all the games to really spend time on, and show gameplay and really try to sell the product, I personally feel Forza isn't something that really needs any time spent on it, especially with the iterations that we've had just this generation alone. We've had 3 Forza Horizon games, and I think 4 Forza games, or 3 Forza games, or 2, whatever. With the amount of games, those yearly releases like that, I personally just feel like something like that doesn't really need time spent on it. It's definitely something that I feel could have just been like a trailer with a release date. Uh, and you could have just left it at that, really. Or you could have saved the explanation for like the Inside Xbox show. I feel I feel more time should have been dedicated towards Crackdown 3. Just because Crackdown 3 I feel needs more of a selling factor, in terms of like, you know this is why you should buy this game. I feel Crackdown 3 definitely needed that. But outside of that, man, they had the 3 Gears games, which is one is a mobile game, one is an RTS exclusive to PC, and then there's a new Gears 5 that also got announced. And I'll be honest, that Gears 5 is probably like exclusive wise. Gears 5 is probably the most interesting of the whole conference in terms of Microsoft, because that trailer definitely looked really really dope, and the story looks like it's going to be really good for that game. So I'm really digging that. But the rest of like Sicario, Devil May Cry, Kingdom Hearts. I got to be honest with you guys. When that Kingdom Hearts came through, when they was announcing that and they were talking about that, or when they showed the trailer on Xbox stage, I got to be honest with you guys, I was very disgusted. Uh, I was very shocked, very disgusted, and I was even more disgusted, you know, looking at the crowd after the fact, because I'm just like, yo, clap! This is an amazing game. Like, you guys need to clap. Like, what is going on here? Hold on, guys. Yeah, so like, I'm looking at that. I'm like, yo, clap! Like, you guys got to clap. This is important, And I was really like, the crowd seemed really dead when it came to like, something of that magnitude. Same thing with Devil May Cry. When I saw Devil May Cry, like, go back and watch it. Like, the crowd just didn't seem amped up enough for me. I was hyped. The Devil May Cry definitely had me hyped. Same thing goes for Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is like, definitely had me hyped. But a lot of Microsoft's conference did revolve around multiplats. One of the things that definitely caught me by surprise was the fact that Microsoft did announce the acquisition of Ninja Theory, which honestly, that was very surprising to me. I was very, very surprised at the fact that Microsoft decided to acquire Ninja Theory. That was like a whoa, that's crazy. And then the acquisition of Undead Labs, Playground. Um, I know they created a new studio called the Initiative, and then they also acquired Compulsive, I think it is, which is the makers of We Happy Few. So it was definitely very surprising to see them acquire Ninja Theory. And in terms of like the other studios, I'm like, it's about time, because Undead Labs, they only make games for Microsoft that I know of. And same thing with Playground. Their games only come out on Microsoft's platform. So it's like, why not own those studios? And so as far as Compulsive, uh they said that We Happy Few is still going to come out on PlayStation, so it's like, whatever. But whatever the game they create after that will definitely be Xbox exclusives. And then the acquiring the creation of a new studio is definitely a good thing. Which it's a good thing to see that Microsoft, because one thing I did say during last week's episode of When Persona Speaks is one of the things that I wanted to see was if Microsoft was listening to the right people, right? And in terms of Microsoft seeing that, they're buying studios, they're doing those different things, you can see that the thought or what they want to do is definitely in the right direction. But we still have to, you left out of Microsoft's conference still thinking, damn, I still have to play the waiting game because, Undead Labs just put out State of Decay 2. You feel me? Playground, they about to put out, Forza. We Happy Few. There's no telling when this comes out. Like, we still don't have a date for it. Or did they give us a date? I think they did give us a date. If not, then, we still waiting on that. And Ninja Theory literally just put out Hellblade last year. You feel me? So there's still that waiting game of waiting for games and waiting for new IPs, waiting for, exclusives, waiting for, different games. You're still walking out of there waiting, which really, disappointed me because, when you think about it, for the rest of this year, the only game Microsoft really has is Forza Horizon 4, which is kind of if you're not a racing fan, that really is a bummer for a lot of people. And, again, like I said last week, Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2, those games didn't really live up to the hype, at least for me personally. And even, when you look at Metacritic, you can tell they didn't live up to the hype. So, walking out of Microsoft's conference, you still are waiting, even for, a lot of the multiplats that they showed. There's no release dates for them, so you really are waiting. You really are waiting for a lot of stuff. And especially, again, looking at this year and looking at what's left, it really is a bummer to see, you still have to wait. But Microsoft's conference as a whole is still had very good pacing. They did show great games, multiplat wise. And again, like I said, Gears 5 was definitely a dope game, really, really interesting, really something that has my complete interest, something that really, I'm excited for personally. And then they announced that they're working on the next Xbox, which really kind of threw me off because when you're sitting in these conferences, one of the things that you also got to keep in mind is, or one of the things that people are thinking about when they're watching these games, at least for myself, I'll speak for myself. One of the things I'm thinking about is, oh man, I can't wait to pick this up on, my PS4 Pro. I can't wait to pick this up on, my Switch or whatever the case may be. So when you start seeing games and you see a bunch of different games and you see, all these games with no dates, and you see all these games that are slated to come out, but then you look at the lineup of what's out now or what to expect, then you see the announcement of a new console right after you bought like an Xbox One X. It kind of feels like a slap in the face, because it's like, you bought the One X back in November, and climbing into this year, you haven't been getting like true next gen level exclusives for the console after spending, $500. I would feel ripped off, just because it's like you're still, so it's like, damn, now I have to go out and buy another Xbox, or like, how is that support going to work between here and the future, in terms of like the Xbox One X. And I feel like the Xbox One, that Xbox announcement, I feel like that's something that could have waited till like next year or something like that, like when they were ready to kind of like unveil it. I don't feel like they should have, talked about that or even, mentioned it this year, just because it's too, like, it's too, I'm not saying it's too early for next gen. I'm saying when you have a bunch of early adopters that bought the Xbox One X, the last thing they want to hear is, we're working on the next thing, you know. At least not that soon. Like we're not even a year into the Xbox One X life, and we're already talking about, or they're already announcing the next Xbox. It's like that's a little much. You know, that's a little too much. You know, it's just like, the people that went out and bought, the Xbox with the Connect, but the Connect, ended up being obsolete, and they, phased it out, a couple months later, and they sold a cheaper version that fast, $350 version or whatever, and or $400 version, however much it was, so it's like, and again, some people will say, oh well, when you're an early adopter, these are the things that you kind of have to, you know kind of suck up and be mindful of, which is true. But I think in terms of like the Xbox One X, and the fact that it is like kind of, again, not a full year into its life, and we're already moving on to the next thing. I kind of feel like it's a slap in the face for early adopters of the Xbox One X, or anybody that bought the Xbox One X for that matter, not even like early adopters. I definitely feel it is a slap in the face. But outside of that, man, the conference was, I gave the conference like a 7 to an 8. Just because I do feel their pacing was really good. They definitely did show, they had like the more flashier conference in terms of like how much games they showed, the surprise games that I wouldn't have thought would have been on Microsoft stage, they showed, which really caught me by surprise. So I was like, wow, this was a pretty decent show. Now, move forward to Sony. And with Sony, one thing about Sony that, never fails to amaze me is that, I feel like after 2016, I really do feel I really do feel Sony was trying to recapture that 2016 atmosphere and that 2016 vibe, or they've been trying to capture that moment of 2016 again, like in terms of that whole orchestra that they had, the atmosphere, the way it looked. Because like, remember in 2016 Sony's E3, they had like this opera hall type setup, and the red curtains, and it was a lot of flash, a lot of pizzazz. Like what they did in 2016 really did jump at you. And again, they had like that full orchestra that played music for God of War, and they were like doing all these different things. It was really like 2016's E3 really was amazing for Sony. But I think after 2016, I think they were trying so hard to capture that moment that I think they kind of lost themselves a little bit. But this year, one thing I did like, and I didn't understand it at first, and I'll be honest, when the conference first started and I saw them in like this church like area, I was a little confused and I was a little worried, because I'm like, wait a second, is Sony having a whole conference here? What is going on here? What do you? I see you trying to take risks and you're trying something different, so I'm trying to be on board, but you're scaring me a little bit, Sony. You scaring me a little bit. And one of my homegirl, shout out to Red, I was watching her live stream because she's media, so she was in there, she was at the briefing or whatever. She was like, there was no chairs, so everybody was standing. So I'm saying, I'm like, wait, you got everybody standing and they gonna be standing for like a whole hour and a half? That couldn't have been me. Negative. So I was worried, like, how I was a little worried about how they was going to take the risk and things like that. But after I watched because the first thing they showed was The Last of Us, which is surprising because I thought they would have ended off with that. But when I first saw once I saw The Last of Us, and I saw the room that the trailer was taking place in The Last of Us, it was literally the exact same room that all of the media and everybody was in. So I was like, oh damn, that's kind of cool. I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it still kind of threw me off a little bit, because I'm kind of like, I don't know, but I did like the idea of what they were trying to do with that. And then the music that they played in the beginning was pretty cool from He's the guy that does the music for Last of Us. I forgot his name though. But that I thought that was kind of cool as well. But then after that whole Last of Us trailer, when they cut from because they started moving everybody into like the main room where everybody was going to be. So when they cut to like when Sean, Sid Schumann and all of them are like right there, it kind of threw off the conference for me because I'm looking at this and I'm kind of like what what is this? Like what are you guys doing here? Like you're cutting away from stuff and you're doing all this other stuff. Like what's the premise here? So that kind of threw me off and that kind of pulled me out of my immersion a little bit of watching the conference, and it kind of did mess up the pacing for me, like just there on out, because I'm just like, I feel like that although it was cool that they did that, I feel like that wasn't necessary, especially if it was going to mess up the pacing. If it was going to mess up the pacing the way it did, I kind of would have, hoped to, wish they didn't do that, just so that it would have kept the pacing kind of on point. But one thing I did like is that they used that time to kind of get like because one thing that I was hoping for was that they didn't like use stage time to show like COD and show Destiny and all, because they got the marketing deals for that, so they're gonna show that stuff. So I was kind of hoping that they would have just showed 2 quick trailers, got out the way, boom, that's it. Which is really what they did when they had everybody transitioning to the main room. Sid Schumann and them, they announced, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was going to be getting like the old school Black Ops maps, and that that Black Ops 3 was going to be available for free, which was a power move. Like that was dope. Like having Black Ops 3 free for PS Plus members, that's a power move. That's a big move right there. So that definitely, I was definitely surprised at that, and definitely, like that's dope. But I love that they only showed the trailers for those games, for like Black Ops 4 and for Call of Duty. I mean for Destiny Forsaken. I definitely do like that they did only show trailers and kept it moving. I was really, really happy about that, because I really did not. As much as I love COD, as much as I love Destiny, as much as those games are going to get bought in the holiday, I didn't want them spending too much time on that, especially at the conference, which they didn't. So I was very happy with that. Very, very happy. Then, when we're watching the conference and we see that they showed that they were moving everybody to a main hall, and that's where everybody was going to be. I was like, oh, all right. So I saw they was trying to just make a spectacle of Last of Us 2 and have that whole scene and that whole setting. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. My excitement, was still there. I'm still watching it. So, we get into the games, and they didn't show, at least I don't think they did. They didn't show as many games as Microsoft. It didn't feel like they did. It definitely didn't feel like they were showing as much games as Microsoft. They definitely didn't. But I feel like Sony's games had a little bit more, not a little bit, it had more impact. Their exclusives, the games they were talking about, the things they showed, definitely left people walking out talking, hype, excited, can't wait to play this on my PlayStation. I need this on my PlayStation. Like, they show Ghost of Tsushima, which in my opinion is the best looking game at the entire E3 conference. Like out of every conference, out of everything that was shown at E3, I personally feel Ghost of Tsushima is the best looking thing we've seen this year. Even better than The Last of Us 2, which is crazy, because when you saw The Last of Us 2 and you saw how great that was and how great that looked and how great the trailer was, you kind of like, damn, like first God of War, then Detroit, now this. It was like the quality of Sony's exclusives just keep going up, 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 and up. And it's like they really are in competition with themselves in terms of the level of quality, the level of fidelity, the magnitude of their exclusives, magnitude of their games, that I definitely do feel like, Sony is definitely cut from a different cloth. Shout out to Jaleesa. She definitely, when we were talking, she said that, and I'm like, damn, yeah, you're right. Like, that's definitely a true true, saying. They're definitely cut from a different cloth when it comes to their games. So, Ghost of Tsushima, the best looking game we saw. The gameplay really dope. And as someone that loves like samurais, ninjas, and a lot of Japanese culture, this definitely had my attention. This is definitely something that I really, really was feeling really excited for. Really can't wait to get my hands on. You feel me? So I definitely was excited to see that and finally get to see gameplay and really finally got to see the type of world and things like that. Then we had Resident Evil 2 remake, which had a lot of people going crazy, including myself. I'm very excited for that. That's definitely day one. That's definitely something that I'm really gonna put a lot of time into. It's already pre-ordered. I'm ready for that. Which we kind of knew because of the leaks that that was gonna be coming. We didn't know what stage. We assumed Sony stage. Obviously, it was shown there. So again, that's a cult classic. That really doesn't need to be spoken about too much because anybody that's been playing games since the 90s, 2000s, or whatever, the magnitude of Resident Evil 2, and the excitement of that. Then that Spider-Man's trailer and that little the gameplay that they had for that, showing off the Sinister Six, even though it's the Sinister Five, and they're replacing what's his name, Doc Ock with Mr. Negative, which I kind of wasn't feeling at first, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I can deal with this because this looks good, and they're trying to tell their own story, so I can't be too mad at that. But them having the Sinister Six and them saying that they're having even more villains than that in the game, then they kind of didn't reveal who the last of the Sinister Six was, which I kind of think I know who it is. I think is Green Goblin. It's either Green Goblin or Hobgoblin. It's one of them. I think it's one of the goblins. I just think so. I do. I could be wrong, but we'll see when the game comes out. But the gameplay that they showed for that, so action packed, like super super exciting. It really is something that, like, even if you're not like a comic book fan, you know who Spider-Man is, right? Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel hero and the most marketable, really, and the one that brings in the most revenue for Marvel, and that's the truth. Look it up. Spider-Man, everyone, even if you don't know comic books, Spider-Man. So seeing that and having that gameplay the way they had it with Electro and everybody, and showing the combat off and really showing like the magnitude of what you're able to do in the game really did like pull me in. And as someone that loves comic books, as someone that loves superhero fandom, all things superheroes, I really was like really entranced by this trailer, this gameplay reveal, and really was excited for that. So like that really pulled me in and really just had me. Then they showed the Kingdom Hearts. They showed the Kingdom Hearts trailer, but the trailer, and this is something that me and Barry was talking about, because me and Barry said, it definitely feels like Microsoft tried to do some like underhanded backroom deal to kind of get the Kingdom Hearts trailer on their stage. But even when you watch that trailer, it felt like there was something missing from that. And again, the crowd wasn't excited. It just didn't seem like that was something that was a part of the show program of the show itinerary. It just felt like that. Which, call it how you see it. You feel how you feel. That's how I felt. And then it's like when you see the PlayStation trailer and everything that came with that trailer, you really start to think, damn, did Microsoft just like pull some backroom deal real quick to get this on their stage? Because they showed so much more in the PlayStation trailer. They showed Jack Sparrow. They showed ship battles. They showed more combat. They showed a lot of what you will be doing in the game that really had me even more excited than when I watched the trailer on the Xbox stage. And I was really excited watching the trailer on the Xbox stage, like, because, it's Kingdom Hearts. Like, regardless of where it's shown, I'm still going to be excited regardless. But seeing that and really seeing all of what they showed on PlayStation stage with Kingdom Hearts definitely pulled me in and definitely had me really, really excited for the game. And then at the end, when they announced the special edition PS4 Pro for the game, and then also announcing that the Pro also comes with an all-in-one package, which has every single Kingdom Hearts game, including Kingdom Hearts 3. listen, guys, that was magical. You feel me? So that was definitely something that I was really, really like excited for. You feel me? Um, and it really did lead me to believe that, you know, Sony was really the real trailer, the real reveal was supposed to be on Sony's stage, and Microsoft did a background deal with that, but whatever. So then, then you get to like Death Stranding and Kojima and his weirdness and you know that crazy music with the crazy trailer, and all these crazy things happening in the game, and him actually showing us gameplay of the game, and kind of, even though it's still very cryptic, and you still don't understand what's going on, it being Kojima, for a lot of people, that's enough. Not for me, but it being Kojima is enough to get people hype. Kojima, don't underestimate, the power of Kojima, or how serious or how big of a impact he has on a lot of people, because there's definitely a lot of people that really do follow Kojima. And even though I do follow him too, not like on some hardcore stuff, but Death Stranding is definitely a game that has my attention. Death Stranding is definitely a game that has me excited. Um, it definitely is something that really, really, it'll turn heads, because you don't know what it is. It'll definitely turn heads. But for me personally, I do wish that it wasn't as like hard to understand, like, because like I still don't know what the game is. I still don't know what the game's about. And I'm pretty sure millions of people don't know what the game's about, which I kind of don't like, just because you constantly teasing something without understanding. It's most of the time it's supposed to keep pulling people back in, and it's supposed to intrigue a lot of people, which it does, which is true. But for me, I like to have some type of understanding of what it is that I'm watching. At least some type. I'm not asking you to explain the whole game or explain the whole premise and the mechanics of the game and stuff like that. That's definitely not something that I'm looking at. But I do want to see. I do want you to explain at least been done yet. Through all the trailers that we've seen, it's just still hasn't been done. I'm not sure why. Again, it's Kojima, so he does. But it's still a game on my radar, a game that I'm still, looking forward to. And then, again, we've got then they show Control, which is being made by Remedy. you know, that game it looks dope. It looks like, I said this during the live reactions, and I'm gonna say it again. I think Control was the game that Quantum Break was supposed to be. You feel me? I really do feel Control, the way it looks, and the premise of the game and how they explained it, because I did watch their interview with PlayStation. The way they explained that game and the way that game got explained, I really do feel this is what Quantum Break was supposed to be. I do. I'm definitely intrigued. But Sony didn't show age, but they showed the games that matter. They showed what they were supposed to show to pull people in. I feel. Um, has to be understood is that at the end of the day, you know people say, like, oh, who cares who won E3, gamers win. If you own all the consoles, yes, that is true. But when you really think about it, it isn't, because if you only own a PlayStation 4, if you only own a PlayStation 4, uh, and you see all those games that are coming to PlayStation 4 on PlayStation stage, and to see that majority of games that they showed on Xbox stage is also coming to PS4, there is no comparison. Now, in terms of who won E3 or who had the better E3, for me personally, to give it to Sony because Sony showed a lot. Like the games that they showed have impact, exclusive wise, multi-plat wise. I mean, those games are going to sell wherever they sell. You can't really judge a conference off multi-plats. You can really only judge them off exclusives. Uh, so Sony showed more from their exclusives lineup, and they really again are continuously showing you why you need to own a PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro. Now, I'm not saying that Microsoft's conference was bad because it wasn't bad, but the acquisition of studios and things like that is definitely a good thing in Microsoft's favor. Acquiring new studios, getting more people to pump for a bad thing, and that's never something that I would take points off for. But it's like I said, when you walk out of Microsoft conference, you're walking out of there knowing that you still have to play the waiting game. Where with Sony, you're walking out of there knowing that Spider-Man is coming out in 3 months, Days Gone is coming out in February, and then E3 will be rolling around, and then you have the other second party and third party exclusives, coming to PlayStation's platform that is really going to tide you over, and then you've got the multi-plat. That's the multi-plats and things like that. So it's a culmination of a lot of different things. And again, it goes back to perception, and something that I spoke about last week, that when it comes to how PlayStation and Xbox is perceived, looking at this year, PlayStation definitely is having a very dominant year in terms of the quality level and magnitude of the exclusives that is very solid, just because Spider-Man in itself is extremely popular and is going to sell extremely well and looks very amazing. And from the people that I know, ever played in a Spider-Man game, it looks great. It's very fun, very fluid, a lot to do. Spider-Man is really going to kill it this fall. So, and again, Days Gone comes out 3-4 months right after that. So it's like, there's stuff that's anticipated, stuff that people are excited for. And then again, when it comes to their conferences, the magnitude of their exclusives on Sony's side is larger. It hits home more. Everybody and their mama is waiting for Last of Us 2, excited for that. Ghost of Tsushima just put, that might have just stole the hype from Last of Us 2 for E3. Just look how amazing that game was. They both look amazing. Let's not get it twisted, but just look at that. When you look at Sony's exclusives, when you look at the games that Sony is pumping out, you see the progression. You see the next gen investment in your investment at work. Buying a PS4 Pro, although the Xbox One X, people like to say it's the most powerful console, which granted, it is. On paper, it is the most powerful console, but that's just a saying when you have nothing to prove that. There's no Xbox side that looks better than God of War or Detroit, or that looks better than Spider-Man, or that Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2. We still aren't seeing that from the Xbox or the Xbox One X. So it's a culmination of a lot. But I personally feel Sony won. And just look at their lineup and what you can expect in 2019 and beyond, as opposed to Microsoft in terms of the quality and the fidelity and just the hype and the excitement. Not saying that Gears and Halo aren't. It's a lot of what we've already been getting. You feel me? Like we've been getting that. Halo, Gears, Forza. Like we literally just had Gears 2 years ago. It's someone's going to watch this and claim fanboy, whatever. I don't care. But that's just how I feel, man. I really do feel Sony won E3 just off of the fact that their exclusives are gonna have much more of a larger presence. They had a larger presence. They pulled in a lot of people. They're a lot of people are excited. A lot of people finally seeing Ghost of Tsushima gameplay and really being, pulled in by that really does have a lot of people excited. You feel me? So, that's a lot of stuff that people have to consider. And as far as Nintendo's Nintendo. Nintendo is Nintendo's weird because I only really look at Nintendo for multiplats. I don't look at Nintendo for like, next gen blockbuster games, exclusives or whatever, because I know that they're not really gonna provide that. What they do provide is games that, people are gonna love. People are always gonna play these types of games. Um, like uh Smash Bros Ultimate, having every character and every Smash Bros in this game that's cool, but it's still Smash at the end of the day. You feel me? So I'm like, whatever. I'm not, this, and Nintendo 64 Smash still is my favorite to this day and still will be. So I'm not really looking at that. For Nintendo, I'm really just looking at Metroid, which they didn't show. I'm looking at that new core Pokemon game that's supposed to come out next year, which they didn't show. And I'm looking at Project Octopath, which is coming out, I think, in July or August or something like that, which obviously I'm going to pick that up. And that's really it, from Nintendo. I'm not really a lot of things for Nintendo. I'm not really excited for. I don't know. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because I'm not just. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm very selective when it comes to Nintendo. Very selective. Um, so it's like a lot of things. Like Mario Tennis looks cool, but then it's like, is this something that I'm really gonna play? Probably not. Mario Party looks fun, and some first it came out that they weren't gonna have no online multiplayer for it. So I'm like, why even pick this up? Because I don't be having parties at my crib and shit where everyone's coming over to play no fucking Mario Party. So why am I picking this up? Then it's like they came out and they said that, oh, well, certain mini games you can play online. And I'm still like, damn, Nintendo, like, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like, what are y'all doing? So I'm not looking forward to that. Like, I'm not hyped for that at all. And then it's like, everything else, like I'm not getting that let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee shit. I'm not. At first I was, because I thought this is what Pokemon was gonna be. But then it's like after really looking at it and really watching it, I'm like, I'm not digging this. Nah, I'm good. Because I didn't like Pokemon Go. I don't like that whole integration shit. I'm not digging that. That's not for me. So they said that the new Pokemon game comes out next year, 2019. That's when you'll see me on Switch like heavy for that. Outside of that, again, I'm not picking up Smash because I'm not into that. And most of their conference was really shitty. Like if I'm gonna be honest, it was really a shitty conference for me personally. I really wasn't into a lot of what they were showing outside of, again, Project Octopath. So, and the Fire Emblem kind of looked cool. They kind of, I might get Fire Emblem as well. But outside of like Fire Emblem and like Project Octopath, I'm good. I'm good. So if I had to rank the big three in terms of who had the best this year, for me it would go Sony, Microsoft. It would go Sony, Microsoft, and then Nintendo. But if I'm gonna rank all of the press conferences from E3, yo, Choco, what's good? Scottish Savage, what's going on? Appreciate you guys coming through. If I had to rank all of the conferences from E3, it would go Sony, Microsoft, Square, Bethesda, Ubisoft, and then Nintendo. Nintendo would be last. Um, yo, we got Chuck in the building. Yo, Chuck, what's going on, bro? Appreciate you coming through. But yeah, so that's who I feel had the best E3, in my opinion. I again, I wasn't able to go like in depth how I wanted. So that's, in terms of best E3, that's who I feel had the best. But now for my top 5 games of E3, this is gonna be, it's pretty easy. It's kind of easy, but then it's kind of difficult. But for me, top 5 of all of E3, number 1, Ghost of Tsushima, hands down. Number 2, The Last of Us 2, hands down. Number 3, wait, hold on. Yeah, number 1 is Ghost of Tsushima. Number 2, The Last of Us 2. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 3. Number 4, Gears of War 5. Number 5, number 5 would probably be, it's a tie between, I'm trying to think. It's a tie between Anthem and Assassin's Creed. Yeah, it's a tie between Anthem and Assassin's Creed. But if I had to, I would give it to. Okay, so top 5, I got it. Top five games of all of E3 for me would be Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Gears of War 5, and Anthem. Those are like my top 5, like super anticipated games from E3 that I can't wait to get my hands on these games. I'm really excited, really like going crazy. I've been looking at 4K footage of all these games for like the past 3 days now. Constantly keep watching. And the honorable mention would be like Control, which looks really good. That looks very beautiful. And I'm really excited for that. And Division and, Assassin's Creed, stuff like that would be like honorable mentions. But that's my top 5. Obviously, and I didn't mention Spider-Man because Spider-Man is coming out, so I'm anticipating that a lot as well, but that's coming out really soon. So it's like I don't want to waste a slot on that when that's like on its way. So, more anticipated games are like, for the future, which would be those, and I'm really excited for those. But yeah, so another thing that I wanted to talk about was this whole crossplay debacle. I've had this conversation. I've talked about crossplay on this podcast, and not specifically this podcast, but also on my main podcast with Mr. Official and Demi. Demi got reviews. We've talked about crossplay. I've talked about crossplay a lot, especially last year with the whole stuff with Microsoft trying to come to Sony for crossplay, and people are mad, and Sony's anti-consumer, and blah blah blah, and all these things. I've spoken about this a lot, and I'm kind of mad that I'm actually going to speak about this again. But I do want to speak on it one last time, and I think after this time, if it ever comes up again, I'm probably just going to have like you'll refer to this podcast or refer to whatever. Like I like one of the problems that I feel in the game community that we have is we keep talking about the same things over and over. Or we say the same things. A lot of people say the same things over and over, but they never give like their true thoughts. There's never a true opinion. It's never, the true of how they really feel. It's just them saying the same thing over and over and over without understanding. A lot of people tend to speak to react, or they speak without understanding, or they don't think before they speak. And oftentimes people tend to listen to react or listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And I think that's part of the problem, not just in the gaming community, but I think just in people, period. A lot of us tend to, especially when you're especially when you're debating somebody or you're having a conversation with someone and you have a thought and you want to get it out. Because I'm guilty of this sometimes too, where I'm thinking about my thought and trying to keep it fresh in my head so that I don't forget, because I will forget, especially if I'm listening to you. But over time, I've gotten good at listening to someone speak and responding as quickly as as quickly as they're finished speaking, just because I have a weird brain. I don't know, whatever. But in terms of crossplay, one of the biggest issues that I see a lot of people bring up is Sony is anti-consumer when it comes to crossplay. Sony doesn't want to play nice. Sony is not for the gamer. Sony is not for the consumer when it comes to crossplay. Sony's not trying to do blah blah blah, whatever. They do all these different things. They say all these different things, blah blah blah, whatever, whatever, whatever. Now, the reason why crossplay is coming back up in conversation is because Fortnite just recently got put onto the Switch. And with Fortnite being on the Switch, you can play against Xbox guys, I guess, on the Switch or whatever the case may be. So again, whenever crossplay comes up, and it's everybody is always quick to trash Xbox, or talk bad about Xbox and its lack of exclusives and its lack of this and not for the consumer, doing this, doing that, da 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 da. But then when that crossplay topic come up, people quickly forget, and people of all of a sudden gun ho for Microsoft, gun ho for Nintendo, blah blah blah, the usual. So with the fact that you can't crossplay Sony's not cross-playing Fortnite with Xbox and Nintendo folks, it also was discovered that if you have an account linked to PlayStation, an Epic account linked to PlayStation for Fortnite, you can't use that account to play game you can't use that account to log in on Fortnite or on Fortnite on the Switch or on Xbox. So naturally, this has a lot of people mad, a lot of people up in arms, a lot of people, yelling at Sony. You need to do this, you need to do that. You're anti-consumer this, you're not for the consumer that. You're not doing the right thing. Sony's getting cocky, Sony's getting big-headed, blah 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 blah. And I'm a very observant person. I tend to observe a lot in life, albeit on social media or out in real life. I observe a lot, and I tend to take all that in, and then I normally give a response if a response is needed. This is my last time, like I said, giving a response to this, and I'm not speaking on it no more. So this is what I want you guys to do. Think about going to, okay, so say you get a coupon, right? Say you bought the Sunday paper, and you get a coupon, you cut out a coupon, and it's a coupon for Best Buy, right? So say the coupon for Best Buy says it's $5 off your next purchase, right? And it's a Best Buy coupon. And it says, if you buy a PlayStation 4 game, your next PS4 game is $5 off, right? Now, say you're inside you take that coupon to GameStop. You want to buy a new game. The game is you can only get the game, Best Buy doesn't have the game, but GameStop does. So you go to GameStop, you buy the game, right? And you pull out the coupon and say, hey, can you give me $5 off? And they'll look at you and say, no, we can't. Oh, well, why? Oh, well, this is a Best Buy coupon. This isn't valid here. Is that anti-consumer? Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong, because the coupon is only valid at Best Buy. And they'll say that in small print, only valid at Best Buy. Or only, it's got Best Buy all over it. It's a Best Buy coupon. So would you walk into a GameStop expecting GameStop to honor a coupon that's from Best Buy? No. Why? Because that's your competition. Now, another example. And I'm gonna use, instead of using like coupons, I'm gonna use food. All right, because I'm kind of hungry, so I'm gonna use food. So say you go to a restaurant. So say you go to Applebee's, right? And Applebee's has a special going on for 2 for $20, right? And Applebee's sells, they give you a coupon and say, oh, you've been a good customer here or whatever. So the next time you come back to our restaurants, we'll give you a meal 2 for $20, only for $20, right? But you go into a Chili's with the coupon. They don't have no specials like that. Do you think they're going to honor that? No. If you go to a McDonald's and you get mad at McDonald's because they don't make their burger, because their burgers are circular and not square like Wendy's, what do? You go to Wendy's to get a square burger. You get mad at Wendy's because their fries don't taste like McDonald's. What do? You get mad and shout that Wendy's is anti-consumer because their fries don't taste like McDonald's. No, you go to McDonald's and you get their fries, and you go to Wendy's and you get their burger, and you put it together, and that's what you get. But Wendy's and McDonald's is not going to merge and give their recipes for secret sauce, give their recipes for how they cut their fucking fries and do all these different things to please you. Because that's not how business works, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not how business works. And I know what you guys like to say. Oh, well, the point is the consumer is always right. No. And I used to work in retail when I was young. The customer is not always right. The customer is actually never right. But, we live in a society where, everyone gets a gold trophy. So, instead of hurting the customer's feelings, you're right, we'll do this for you. Nah. When it comes to business, what is the ideal of the business? To make money. If Sony is unifying its systems with its competition, what is stopping a potential consumer from buying their product? What? If my friend is playing Call of Duty on PS4, but I have an Xbox, what am I going to do to ensure that I play with my friend on PS4? I'm going to buy a PS4, which is what? Cha-ching, a sale for Sony. These companies don't listen. And this is one thing that you all got to understand. These companies don't care about none of us. As much as I love Sony and PlayStation, and, much as I'm all for my PlayStation 4, blah, blah, blah. I know that PlayStation ain't gonna pay my bills if I hit them up like, yo, bro, I'm about to get put out on the street, but I bought all your exclusives. So can you hook a brother up and pay my rent for a couple months? They're not gonna do that. They're gonna laugh me off the phone. They're gonna laugh me out the building. I get that. I understand that. So, and the reason why I bring that up is because I hate when people say, oh, well, you defending these companies like they're giving you a check. Da 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 da. There's a difference between defending a company and common sense. You feel me? Would crossplay be cool? Yes. Am I mad at Sony because they don't have crossplay? No. Because I have all the consoles anyway. Which goes to my next point. People, what is the one thing that when you're in social media, when you're debating these dudes, when you're watching other people's YouTube videos, when you're watching all these different things, what is one thing that people always love to say before they talk about anything that pertains to a specific game? Oh, well, I got all the consoles, so I can say what I want. I got a Switch, so I know what the Switch is talking about. I got an Xbox, so I can say what I want about Xbox. Oh, I got a PlayStation, man, so I can say PlayStation sucks because I got a This is what people always say. I got all the consoles, so I know what I'm talking about. I got all the consoles. This is what people always say. This is what they always say. Go look. Go watch other people's YouTube channels. Go look on social media. What are people always taking pictures of? Oh yeah, it feels good to be a multi-console owner. Oh yeah, gamers won E3 because we're getting all these great games. It doesn't matter if Sony, PlayStation, or Nintendo did better. We can play all the games because we got all the consoles. Isn't that what people's always saying? Isn't it? What about when Xbox isn't bringing in any exclusives, or people like to say, "Oh, Sony is on top right now. Sony is doing a thing. Sony is for the gamer because Sony is giving us exclusives. Sony is giving us next gen exclusives. Exclusives is what sell consoles. Exclusives is what pull people in. Exclusives is what matter most. It's not multiplat. When Xbox is talking about, oh well, we got the more powerful third party." Right. But then, Sony guys are saying, oh, well, the exclusives is what matter most. The exclusives is what's important. This is the argument that you see all the time, right? Exclusives is what's important. Xbox is failing right now, or Xbox isn't selling as many consoles as it should be. It's because they're lack of what, ladies and gentlemen? What are they lacking, ladies and gentlemen? What are we waiting for from Xbox, ladies and gentlemen? What is it? Say it with me. Exclusives, right? No one's buying an Xbox because what? No exclusives, right? PlayStation is doing so good right now because of what? The exclusives, right? People are excited to play one on PlayStation. The what? Exclusives, right? So if exclusives are so important, if exclusives is what set these consoles apart, if exclusives is why people go out and buy all these different consoles, if exclusives is what is at the pinnacle of the Xbox, of the console arguments and of the console debates and of what's important most, why are you crying because there is no unified ecosystem amongst the three consoles, amongst the competitors? Why are you crying about that? Why? Exclusives is what matter. What are people looking for whenever they're looking at these games? Oh, it says only on Xbox, guys. It says only on PlayStation, guys. Oh, you can only play Zelda and Mario on Nintendo platforms, guys. It's just like the argument where people were crying because I remember this was last year too. Or was it earlier this year? It was either earlier this year or last year. But I remember where people were saying, oh, well, Sony's anti-consumer because they won't let their exclusives be on other platforms. But you never see people hitting up Microsoft saying, hey, guys, this game is so great. Halo is so great. Gears 5 is so great, guys. Maybe you should put this on PlayStation. You're going to get laughed out. You're going to get laughed out the building. No one is talking to Nintendo talking about, hey, you need to put Breath of the Wild on PlayStation. Those guys need to play that. Those guys need to play that Zelda. Put that on PlayStation. Put that on Xbox. You don't see nobody talking about that. Why? Why? Because it defeats the purpose of owning that console, right? Right? So why would crossplay be any different? If Sally is playing Call of Duty or GTA or something on PlayStation and Billy wants to play with her, what is he going to have to do? Buy a PlayStation. If Billy is playing on Xbox, he's playing Gears COD or whatever on Xbox, and Sally wants to play with Billy on Xbox, what does she have to do? Buy an Xbox. If you want to play any Nintendo exclusive, what do you have to do? Buy a Nintendo platform. So why is crossplay so important? Why is crossplay such a hot button amongst people who value exclusives more than anything else? Why is crossplay the anti-consumer? Why is crossplay the hot button? Why is crossplay why PlayStation is wrong, or why anybody is wrong for that matter? When exclusives is what matter most. Exclusives is what sell consoles. Exclusives is what pulls people in. Hello? Like, guys, and I've said this shit. I've said this like time and time again. And again, would crossplay be cool? Yes, it would be. But is that why I'm buying these consoles? No, it's not. People pride themselves for being multi-console owners, but crying about crossplay. People pride themselves about being multi-console owners, but won't buy PlayStation exclusives. People pride themselves about being multi-console owners, but only play one console. But you crying about crossplay. Listen, guys, think like a business exec for a second. Is crossplay really in your best interest? That's a potential sale lost. And I know what people are going to say, whoever that watches this. Oh, well, Persona, you're defending PlayStation. You know, PlayStation can't do no wrong, Persona. Is that what you're saying? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you being mad about there not being a shared ecosystem amongst competitors is idiotic when you don't go to bat trying to get all exclusives on all platforms. You want a shared ecosystem with exclusives on consoles. That's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Again, exclusives is what's most important. Exclusives is what sells consoles, but you want a shared ecosystem. No, no. And to add insult to injury, PlayStation has more cross-platform games than Xbox and Nintendo. Final Fantasy 14, Rocket League, Fortnite, Blacklight Retribution, Killing Floor, DC Universe Online, War Thunder, World of Tanks, Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7. I think Tekken 7 as well. I think. And there's like a ton of other ones. I'm trying to think. Planet Side, Paladins. Like there's a ton. So what's the issue? Sony is doing cross-platform play with people that aren't direct competition. And with people that matter. Your competition needs to catch up to Sony when it comes to cross-platform play. You can't come into this after, saying you don't want to do cross-platform play and demand shit. No. You got to work for that. And even then, you ain't getting it. No. So, for all the cross-play people, I'm sorry. It ain't happening. But you're still going to buy that Last of Us 2 and that goes to Tsushima and that Spider-Man. Oh, my God, man. That's funny, man. I don't know. Same thing goes for... I ain't even going to open that can of worms because that's a whole nother... that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I mean, listen, guys. I'm not talking about this anymore because I've talked about this too many times already. Crossplay ain't happening. If you can't deal with that, then I don't know what to tell you. That's a you problem. But moving on. So women in gaming. I've spoken on this before too. This is going to be quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. So a lot of people pissed off that in The Last of Us 2, they show Ellie kissing a girl, full on. The cameraman is like full on in their face, like you seeing all of it. You seeing her nose get bent. You seeing you seeing a whole lot when it comes to that kiss. And then I remember Battlefield 5. A lot of people were pissed off at the fact that they got a woman in that. And then I know there was a lot of people pissed off at the fact that who was it? You can be a woman in Assassin's Creed, or you can choose to be a woman in Assassin's Creed. what else? There was another game. I forgot the other game during E3 that they showed that there was a woman or something like that, and they were mad. But I'll say this, man: women are definitely making a come up out here in these gaming streets. Because I know the chick in Control, that's a woman. Her name is Jess. Again, Ellie is the main character for Last of Us 2. She, you don't play as Joel at all in this game. They confirmed it's straight up Ellie. So you playing as a chick in that. Uh, the story for Battlefield 5 revolves around a woman. I know there's another one. I'm trying to think. Ah man, it's a couple. I can't think right now. Oh man, I forgot. It's in my head. I forgot the games, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So, with women in gaming, man, I know there's a lot of people mad at the fact that they're making you play as a chick. I don't see, I've said this before. I don't see the outrage. I don't see the upset because of this. It's actually surprising to me that people are this upset just off the fact of who you playing as in a game. If you guys know me, you guys know I pick the girl characters anyway, so this don't bother me. I'm very excited. But it's something that I said on Twitter a couple days ago that you know, people that think like this tend to be beta males. If you don't know what a beta male is pretty much a pushover. Uh, weak. Alpha males are considered strong, masculine, whatever. Very sure of themselves, very sure of their sexualities and things like that. Beta males are, weak. They're insignificant. They're very I don't know, whatever word you want to use for beta male, that's what they are. So I personally feel that people that show this much outrage for something so minuscule tend to be beta males with a weak mentality. It's definitely I think it's good to have more women in gaming. It's great. It's always good to see more female developers. It's good to see more female gamers, albeit black, white, whatever, just female gamers and in the gaming space is always good. It's always a great thing, to have females, because females are people too. They have interests, females that are into comic books and into anime, and it's always good to see that stuff, man. I never understood I never understood like people that like get mad at women that try to, even like women that may not know as much about games or about anime and things like that, but are trying to like get into it and learn. Like people tend to get mad at them, like, oh, you're not a real gamer, you're not a real this, you're a poser. But I mean, although there are posers in all things, all hobbies and things like that, all interests, you always have that group of posers, albeit male or female. I never understood the hate or the animosity towards a woman that would want to, uh, you know, be a part of gaming, be a part of the gaming world, I never understood that, and to this day, I still don't understand the outrage for that because, again, there's some really, especially me, I've been gaming for a very long time, and I've met a lot of like awesome women through gaming, that are just like really, really awesome, sweet, like down to earth people that genuinely love gaming, love nerd culture and things like that. I don't get that hatred. And again, the only thing I can uh make a correlation to in terms of that hatred towards a female playing games is if a person themselves isn't secure within their masculinity or secure within their sexuality. That's the only thing that I can make a connection to. Because even in terms of like seeing the kiss with Ellie, um, you know, people were starting to pull out Christianity and all this other. I seen one tweet where some guy, he was like, I'm not picking up The Last of Us 2 because I'm not gonna have my family subjected to SJWs and liberalism and all this other shit. And some dude replied and it was like, so wait, two women kissing is worse than a dude getting his head chopped off? Like getting a dude getting his head chopped off is family friendly? That's what you want your family exposed to? Like he looked stupid like with that. Like it was just very it was very weird to me. when I seen the alien kiss, I just was like, oh shit, that's what's up. And I'm like, yo, where the gameplay? That's what I'm thinking about. Like, yo, Brad, where the gameplay? I wasn't really like pissed off, at least not to the level that a lot of people were. And even with the whole Battlefield 5 and the woman being on the cover, I still didn't understand that either. A lot of people were talking about, historical accuracy and all these different things or historical inaccuracies. The same thing was said about on Battlefield 1. Yo, EJ, what's good, bro? The same thing was said on Battlefield 1 in terms of uh, people were mad that a black dude was on the cover because they automatically assumed that black people didn't fight in this war or whatever the case may be. And I had to like go back and forth with some dude before, but I was just like, dude, you like what you read in history books isn't all of the history, man. Like history, a lot of history in this country, in this world, has been rewritten or recalibrated to suit a specific demographic of people, or to make a specific demographic of people feel more superior than others, which isn't true. um you know there's a lot of black people, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of other people outside of white males that have done very, very amazing things in history. Oftentimes some of them get swept under the rug. Oftentimes some of them don't get the recognition that they deserve, or they become forgotten, or whatever the case may be. It's very fucked up. It's very messed up in a lot of ways. But again, when it comes to games, it's definitely great to see that there are women out there that are put, again, in the development scene, and gamers, and in video games and stuff like that. um I don't have a problem. And to all the women out there that may listen to this now or later or whatever, don't let anybody like put you down. Continue being a gamer, to continue playing games, continue going to conventions, continue just enjoying your life. You feel me? Don't let negativity, don't let negative people, don't let a lot of those things really consume or push you out of what you love to do. If you love gaming, if you love playing video games, you're very welcome to. I welcome you. I'm pretty sure there's a larger demographic of people outside of the negative ones that also would welcome you into gaming. So if you're someone that you're thinking about getting into gaming, you're thinking about being a streamer, you're thinking about whatever, come through, man. Play some games, man. If you run across me, let's play some games together. Like just enjoy your life, man. And to the developers, man, like keep doing what you do. If you want to put more women in gaming, do that. Put some colored women in there, put blacks in there, whoever you want to, do what you do. Don't let these negative people deter you from your vision. You feel me? um that's really all I really have to say about it, because I don't want to. I could talk about this for hours. But again, don't let don't let beta males stop you from doing what you do, because it really ain't nothing wrong with women in gaming. It definitely isn't. Trust me. Again, if you follow the channel, if you watch any of my live streams, I pick when it comes to that creator character shit. Who I create, man? I create the female, man. I create the female, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Believe me. But I'm someone that's comfortable with my sexuality, so I don't know. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. And as far as the Project Scarlett, I kind of addressed that in the beginning with the whole E3 stage. I just feel like I feel like it's just a slap in the face to Xbox One X owners, and I definitely do feel like with Project Scarlett. Now that's gonna, you guys remember the whole, Project Scorpio, Power of the Scorpio. Dudes was taking pictures of chips in their mouths, and all these fanboys was running around talking about, how this is when true gaming and next gen and all this other shit. You're just gonna be hearing that again. with Scarlett. But I definitely do feel like it was too soon that they announced Project Scarlett, which is the new Xbox. I kind of wish they would have waited till next year to kind of announce it, talk about it, and things like that. But eh, you know, only time will tell what what's going to come of it. We'll see. At the end of the day, I'm good with my PS4. I'm good with my OG Xbox. Like I ain't selling that. I'm keeping that, and I'm good with my Switch. So yeah, that's really it, man. That's really all I wanted to talk to you guys about today, man. E3 pretty much is wrapping up. I think today is the last day, or tomorrow might be the last day of E3. I've been watching a lot of E3 coverage this week, man. I really have. Like I haven't really been gaming a whole lot. I've been watching like a lot of E3 coverage when I get home, and when that's really all I do. I'm just so into like all these games that's coming out. I'm really excited. So like I'll be watching, interviews and live streams and just trying to get as much information as I can about all these great games coming out. But yeah, let me know in the comments, who you think won E3, and give me your top 5 E3 games and whatnot. I would love to know what you guys is feeling in terms of y'all top 5 and what y'all feeling for the games and whatnot. But yeah, with that being said, man, we definitely gonna get up out of here. Before I go, I definitely want to shout out Mind of Mock Boys, Demigod Reviews, Mr. Official VG. Make sure you guys subscribe to their YouTube channels. You can follow them on Twitter at that guy Demi and Mr. Underscore Official. Also, big shout out to Upchuck Gaming. Really appreciate him coming through. TOA boys. You can watch Plus on Block podcast every Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern. Link to the podcast is in the description. The Jay Barry show, he does it every week. He didn't do it this week. I actually haven't, after Monday, I haven't really spoken to Barry at all this week. Actually, I think he needed a break because like I said, we were doing like a lot of live reactions and videos and stuff. So I know he definitely wanted a break from like social media and YouTube and all that. So I think that's why he didn't do the Jay Barry show this week. But definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. Link is in the description as well. Also, Mind of a Gamer every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. This week is probably just going to be me and Demi, chopping it up a little bit. Get his thoughts on E3 and whatnot, and kind of talk about a couple of news and things that we see come to fruition. And yeah, that's really it. Also, we got a tournament happening this weekend, the Tekken 7 tournament. You can definitely sign up to that in the description as well. Also, big shout out to everybody that came through to the podcast. EJ, shout out to Choco for coming through. Shout out to Sarge. Shout out to Chuck. Shout out to Scottish Savage. Big shout out to Fatal and Sick Humor. I really do appreciate those guys coming through. Appreciate everybody coming through, supporting the podcast every week. And yeah, that's really it, man. When Persona Speaks episode 20 is in the books. I'm actually about to play some games. So yeah, I'll definitely holler at you guys later. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And we out of here. Peace, peace, peace.